When you whip out your phone and check your bank account and discover that you have $100,000 saved up, it dramatically changes your perspective. You will no longer have a slave mentality. That may sound harsh, but it is correct. Most people, I guess more than 90% of the population, stay at their jobs because they're terrified of the consequences, not because they love their employment. You will be unable to make your mortgage payments if you lose your work. That will have a negative impact on your credit score. This will make borrowing money more difficult. It's like a domino effect, destroying your entire life one by one. And it's all because you lost your work. Consider what would happen if you quit or, God forbid, lost your work, but you did not face the same consequences. Isn't it terrifying to lose your job? No, because paying your essential bills is no longer an issue. What you want to do next is the question. Maybe you want to keep your job because you enjoy it, but you get the idea. $100,000 is not a large sum of money. That's how much you'd spend in a year if you lived in any major city. But do you notice how much of a difference it makes in your mentality, in your way of thinking? When you know you won't wind yourself on the streets if everything goes wrong, saving your first $100,000 is the most difficult task. Getting from $0 to $100,000, for example, is far more difficult than getting from $100,000 to $1 million. It becomes much easier once the dice start dropping. The issue is that when you have structured your life so that every penny that comes in has to go somewhere, you are in trouble. By example, I know folks who, if their paycheck is delayed by a few days, will receive a phone call from their landlord the following day. What is going on? Why hasn't the rent been paid? Nobody wants to tarnish the company's reputation. This might make renting a property much more difficult in the future. Investing your initial money, for example, is not a good choice. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest for the long term. You should, but not with your first paycheck. Not the money that could provide you with financial freedom, but the money itself. That would give you peace of mind and allow you to decide what is best for you rather than being forced to do something because you can't afford to keep paying your bills. If you earn $70,000 after taxes, you will earn little less than $6,000 each month. If you can save 20% of that money, which is a lot more than most people can, we're going to presume you're extremely disciplined and capable of succeeding. That works out to $14,000 per year, which means it will take you more than 7 years to save that much money. To be honest, that seems like a long time. It's far easier to get a side hustle and save whatever money you generate from it. The issue with riches is that it's really difficult to make money when you don't have any. It is true that you need money to make money. When we claim you could be making 7% a year, we're assuming you have $200 in your bank account. 7% of $200 equals $14. What can $14 get you at Starbucks for 2 cups of coffee? Even if you save $20,000, 7% of $20,000 is $1,400 per year, which would barely cover your rent. You're not even guaranteed to earn 7%. If you average it out over 20 years, you might make that much money, but it could be lower in any given year. Take 2022 as an example. The entire market is down. Investing makes little sense at this point unless you are prepared to invest and then forget about it. But what if Bill Gates was offered 7% every year? What do you believe this indicates for him? He is wealthy. Countless billions. That is 70 million if he only invests $1 billion in that business. Let's deduct taxes and other costs. That would be around $50 million. I'm not sure how much Bill Gates spends per month, but $50 million gets him a lot more than 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks. Even if he doesn't make any money that year, that is not going to change anything. Pull him down. He can wait another year, 2 years, or perhaps 3 years. He can invest more in the business to make it a success. That is why many business people use their positions to their advantage. If you are positive that you would profit from this transaction, Borrowing money is far more convenient, even if you must pay some interest to turn the small deal into a huge deal. That's exactly what Michael Berry did when he realized the housing market was poised to collapse. He borrowed everything he could get his hands on. When companies discover that they have a viable business model, all they do is keep borrowing as much money as they can to scale their operations, even if the return is only 10%. When you hear that Buffett made $10 billion this year, it's like 10% of his $100 billion net worth. That's like earning $10 on a $100 investment. Investing $100 billion is obviously far more difficult than investing $100, but you get the idea. However, it comes with its own set of risks. Of course, if your deal falls through, you could lose your entire company if you ruin your credit score and no one will give you money again. You could lose everything and end up on the streets. It has its own set of dangers. That is why it is not a joke. You should be aware of the type of risk you are addressing. As a result, the phrase, "the rich get richer while the poor get poorer," is accurate. That is how capitalism operates. It may be otherwise because your salary will never keep up with inflation and your requirements as you become older. You upgrade to a larger, more expensive home. It is really tough to return to renting a place. You got married, which means you now have additional expenses. You cannot simply back down until you have a compelling cause to do so. You have a son. Now, welcome to a lifelong financial commitment, which means that you will become poorer as you age, even if you are earning more money. However, if you received $1 million loan from your parents, you would earn 5% per year. And if you don't touch it and let it grow, you'll continue to get richer. That's why the initial $100,000 are so important. It will either lead you to financial freedom or leave you struggling financially for the rest of your life. It also depends on when you expect to make that $100,000. If you can do something in your 20s, you've done yourself a huge favor. But if you do it in your 50s, for example, it won't be as beneficial as if you did it in your 20s, since you will have lived for the majority of your life, assuming a life expectancy of 77 years. I can speak from personal experience when I was confident that no matter what happened, I could at least not work for a whole year and be fine. My entire outlook on life shifted. I stopped looking for the short term and started thinking about the long term. You will have the discipline to go to $1 million if you have the discipline to go to $100,000. That is not always the case, but it is usually the case. The one thing I would highly advise you to remember is that it will not last forever. It is only temporary. It's a quest to get somewhere better than where you are now. If you're frightened of flying, like me, you force yourself to be patient because you know that once you arrive at your goal, you'll feel a lot better focused on that objective anytime you feel like giving up. Consider how life will be if you reach that milestone, and consider how terrible life will be if you do not reach it. I wish you the best of luck. Tell me in the comments how you intend to reach your first $100,000. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel Luxe Mindset, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.